Hi everyone, it's Ellie here from Oma Community Church and welcome to our sermon series. This month we'll be looking at the book of Esther and seeing how we can trust the Lord through our lives and her story. So let's jump back in to find out more today.
There's joy in the house of the Lord, and that's really beautiful. So guys, we're going to kick off a brand new series. The series is called Trusting God. And for those of you who were with us last week, you may remember I made a throwaway comment as I was reading through the scriptures that I was reading through. And I said that there are so many of us in the church today who are believing for things. We have a head knowledge that says we can believe for things. But if we were actually to trust our hearts, or search our hearts, could we actually say that we're trusting God? And so my goal, the heart of this series that will bring us up to Christmas, is that actually we would be encouraged that we can trust God. That we can trust Him with our past, we can trust Him with our present, we can trust Him with our future, we can trust Him with our identities, we can trust Him with our finances, we can trust Him with our health. Like there isn't an area of our lives that we can't actually trust God for. And I'm so encouraged when I look at a book like Esther, and we'll kind of unpack the first chapter together in a couple of minutes, but even when we can't see God at work, and even when we can't feel God at work, or even if we think that God's not doing something, the book of Esther actually teaches us that God is always up to something. And I love that, this idea, and we sing it in church. You know, there's a song called Waymaker, and we say, even when I can see it, you're working. Even when I can feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness, my God, that is who you are. And that is really the heart of this series, is that even when we can't see it, that we would know that He is working. Even when we can't feel it, that we would know that He is working, because He is the waymaker. He is the miracle worker. He is the promise keeper. He is the light in the darkness, and He is our God, because that's who He is. And so let me read chapter 1 to you together. I'll give a tiny little bit of context to the book and to the passage that we're reading, and then I'm going to pull out three things that I really feel will not only encourage us but challenge us as well. I want us to feel a little bit uncomfortable as we go through this series and ask ourselves some questions as we go through this series to actually identify the areas in our life where we're saying, well, I believe for it, but maybe I'm not trusting for it. I have the head knowledge that says God can, but am I actually believing that He will? And so that's really the goal and the heart of the series in and of itself. And so let's read this together. It's Esther chapter 1. The words are going to appear on the screen behind me. And give a big shout to Pastor Tom for his design work over the last couple of days. He's designed all of the graphics for this series. And so we are just so grateful for all of the people that God is bringing in to the house of God. We prayed for the workers because the harvest is plentiful, and God has been sending the workers. He has been raising the workers. He's equipping the workers, and He's releasing the workers. We are a great church. Okay, are we ready? This is what happened. Oh my Lord, it's 12:10. This is what happened during the time of Xerxes. The Xerxes who ruled over 170 provinces stretching from India to Kush. At that time, he reigned from his royal throne in the citadel of Susa. And in the third year of his reign, he gave a banquet for all his nobles and officials. The military leaders of Persia and Media, the princes and the nobles of the provinces were present for a full 180 days, he displayed the vast wealth of his kingdom and the splendor and glory of his majesty. That's a party. I'm not saying it's a good party, but it's a party. It's a long party, and we'll kind of get to that as we walk through this together. When these days were over, the king gave a banquet lasting 7 days, and in the enclosed garden of the king's palace for all the people, from the least to the greatest who were in the citadel of Susa. The garden had hangings of white and blue linen, fastened with cords of white linen and purple material to silver rings on marble pillars. There were couches of gold and silver on a mosaic pavement of something, marble, mother of pearl, and other costly stones. Wine was served in goblets of gold, each one different from the other, and the royal wine was abundant, in keeping with the king's liberality. By the king's command, each guest was allowed to drink with no restrictions. Everybody say free bar. Free bar. For the king instructed all the wine stewards to serve each man what he wished. Everybody say free bar again. Free bar. Okay, Queen Vashti also gave a banquet for the women in the royal palace of King Xerxes. On the 7th day, when the king was in high spirits, hammered drunk, in other words, from wine, he commanded the 7 eunuchs who served him to bring before him Queen Vashti, wearing her royal crown, in order to display her beauty to the people and nobles. For she was lovely to look at. But when the attendants delivered the king's demands, she refused to come. Then the king became furious and burned with anger. Since it was customary for the king to consult experts in matters of law and justice, he spoke with the wise men who understood the times and were closest to the king. The 7 nobles of Persia and Media, who had special access to the king and were highest in the kingdom. According to the law, what must be done? He asked. She has not obeyed the command of King Xerxes that the eunuchs have taken to her. Then Memucan replied in the presence of the king and the nobles. She has done what is wrong, not only against the king, but also against all the nobles and the peoples of all the provinces. For the queen's conduct will become known to all women, and so they will despise their husbands and say, the king has commanded the queen to be brought before him, but she would not come. This very day, the Persian and Median women of the nobility who have heard about the queen's conduct will respond to all the king's nobles in the same way. There will be no end of disrespect and discord. Therefore, if it pleases the king, let him issue a royal decree, and let it be written in the laws of Persia and Media, which cannot be repelled, that Vashti is never again to enter the presence of the king. Also, let the king give her royal position to someone else who is better than she. Then, when the king's edict is proclaimed throughout all this vast realm, all the women will respect their husbands from the least to the greatest. The king and his nobles were pleased with this advice, so the king did as was proposed. He sent dispatches to all the parts of the kingdom, to each province in its own script, and to each people in their own language, proclaiming that every man should be ruler of his own household, using his native tongue. It's a huge moment in history. It's a huge moment in Old Testament times. It's a huge just moment of change that is coming. And it's a domino effect, and that's the title of my message today, the domino effect. Because everything that we're reading in chapter 1 sets everything up for the rest of the book. I have a little bit of a spoiler alert for you, okay? Esther becomes the queen. Shock. And this is the moment that sets it up for the rest of the story. So that's an unlikely rise. Esther, a Jewish orphan who becomes queen. And from start to finish, we see a pattern in the Testament that is written that God will overturn human pride, that he will lift the lowly, and that he preserves his people even when his name isn't spoken. And the bottom line in all of this is that we can trust God. And as we journey through the rest of the chapters, this will become so apparent, so real, and so encouraging that we'll be celebrating even when we can't see it. He's working. And so I have a couple of things that I just want to pull out of the text this morning that I just really feel will strengthen us on our own individual walk with God, but also strengthen us as a church as well. And I want to encourage you today, point number one, don't let your pride get in the way. I was laughing to myself this morning as I was coming in because I remember a couple of weeks ago celebrating to Jenny, I've not lost my glasses in years. Pride comes before A. So guess who can't find any of his glasses at the moment? And all of the font size on my screen is like, that's huge. And like you could see it from Strabane if you needed to, if you had good eyesight. It's huge because I've lost my glasses. It's going to be expensive. But what we see here in this moment, if we look at verses 10 and 12, it says, on the 7th day, when King Xerxes was in high spirits from wine, he commanded the 7 eunuchs who served him to bring before him the queen, wearing her royal crown, in order to display her beauty to the people and nobles, for she was lovely to look at. But when the attendants delivered the king's command, Queen Vashti refused to come. Then the king became furious and burned with anger. You've got to picture the scene. 127 nations represented, all the way from India to Ethiopia. There's a huge celebration that lasts 180 days. He's the man. He's the man, and nobody says no to the man. And yet in this moment, she's like, not happening, and we can get to that in a little bit of time. But in that moment, he's got to save face, and so his pride kicks in as he seeks to save face. And here's the thing, when it comes to pride, pride will leave fingerprints on almost every area of our lives. In decision making, it can cloud judgment. Instead of weighing up options, we can cling to the choice that will make us look best. When it comes to relationships, it builds walls because we become less approachable, harder to trust, and quicker to take offense. When it comes to the opportunities in our lives, it shuts doors, because if we can't admit that we need to grow, that we need mentors, that we need teammates or employers, that we may actually be stopped from being offered opportunities and chances. When it comes to our own emotional health, it breeds frustration, because pride will always insist on control. But life rarely, if we're honest, will bend to our script. So we more often than not just spend our time stewing in the things that go wrong. When it comes to our spiritual side, which is the most important part about us, actually, pride will trick us into thinking that we don't need God. And we do, we really do. And not only do we need him, but we can trust him as well. It's a funny thing, pride, because tricky as it is, it will very often in the moment feel like strength, where we're standing strong in our pride, where we're standing tall, where we're protecting our dignity. But actually, if it's left unchecked, what happens is this: it erodes the very things that we're actually trying to hold on to. It says in Proverbs chapter 16, verse 8, pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. I've talked about this on numerous occasions over the years because it has had such an impact on my life. 2016, jumped on a plane, went to Australia with the goal of coming back with a gold medal in the World Championships in the 800 meters. I was favourite to win. The idea of not winning wasn't even comprehensible, if that's the right word to use in this context. I know what I'm trying to say. I might not have said it well. It was inconceivable. I just couldn't get my head around the fact that somebody else would be better than me on the day. And I came fourth. 11 hundredths of a second. You can't even quantify, not even the blink of an eye. 11 hundredths of a second away from winning the bronze medal and less than a second from winning a gold medal. And guess what? I felt like a failure. I felt like I had failed. I felt like I had let Jenny down. I felt like I had let the kids down. I felt like I had let everyone who was supporting me down, who had invested into me, who had believed in me, who had prayed for me, who had sponsored me. I felt like I had let the whole world down, and I felt like a failure. Felt like I had let my daddy down, who was my coach for so long, and that inner child, just all of those things came to life. And when I come home, as I began to feel like a failure, I began to believe that I actually was a failure. And so I decided that I was going to try and fix it myself. And the only way that I knew to fix it was to get busy. I've got this. I'm in control of this. If I can just have success here, and if I'm good here, and if I win there, and if I'm successful in this, and if I get to speak in this place, and I'm here, and I'm there, and I'm everywhere, I'm no longer a failure, and I'm actually successful. And I'm pursuing it in my own strength, and I'm pursuing all of these things, and I'm getting busier and busier and busier and busier and busier. And as I'm getting busier and busier and busier, my whole world is falling apart around me. And as my world is falling around me, I'm thinking, I just need to get busier because this will fix it. Because once it's fixed, it'll be great. And if I can just get that one thing, everything's going to be wonderful. And what I realized is that I was spinning a wheel, and I was spinning a wheel, and I was spinning a wheel that was going nowhere fast and digging deeper into a hole. Anyone in the room ever had the misfortunate moment of having your car stuck in the mud? Yes? Anyone in the room ever had the misfortunate moment of having your car stuck in the sand? Our default is to put the accelerator on because we think if I can just get the wheels to turn faster, it's going to get me out of the hole that I'm in. When the reality is, it's actually the opposite. Is that actually we don't need the accelerator, we just need the clutch, and actually we need a little bit of support to kind of gently nudge us along to bring us back onto a level playing field as well. And I feel like so many of us in the world, so many of us in the church, the global church, and so many of us in the room, we're spinning the wheel. I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And the more we're spinning, the deeper we're going into mess. When actually all we need to do is just go, I need help. I need help. And as we embrace that help, and as we do less, and as we allow the support to move us, we actually begin to live in the freedom that Christ won for us on the cross. Can I say this to you this morning with the utmost of respect and the greatest of love? When you're going through stuff and you think, I'm not going to church because I'm going through all of this stuff and nobody cares and nobody understands, and anyway, I don't even want to go there. That is actually spinning the wheel deeper into the mess, because actually the greatest support network that the world has is the Church of Jesus Christ. The Church of Jesus Christ is the most loving, the most generous, the most compassionate, the most welcoming environment in all of the world. We are broken people. We are. We're broken people who need a holy God to work out all of the things because he loves us. So let's not be the people who allow pride to trip us up, knowing that pride comes before a fall and actually leads to destruction. I've been saying this every week for the last couple of weeks. We have these wonderful Connect cards in our church. And you will notice in these Connect cards, there is a huge white space in the middle of it. You can't miss it. It's huge, right? It's the biggest thing that's on there, okay, right? You can't miss it. And on the top of it, it says, how can we pray for you? I've been doing this now for 4 weeks in a row. How many do you think I have received in those 4 weeks? Let's just say 0. 0. What's that all about? You are so loved here. There is nothing that you can't put down in there. And here's the thing, you know what the good thing is? You don't even have to put your name on it. You can if you want. And if you want additional support, we can give it. We can be the ramp, the bit of wood that will get you up out of and bring you back onto the level playing field. That's actually what we're here for. You know what the biggest team is in our church? Do you know if everybody was in the room, would you hear this? This is a praise report, right? If everybody was in the room who's regularly attending us, okay, we'd have 75 people in the room. Can I get a hallelujah for that, please? Like, seriously, that was pathetic. 75 people in the room. We don't have enough seats out. Isn't that great news? But the biggest team that we have in Oma Community Church is our pastoral care team. We have a team of people that just love people. We have a prayer team that is huge, that love to pray. If you need support, why don't you just ask for it? Put your pride in your pocket, slap it away, and actually, let's be vulnerable. Let's be honest. Let's be transparent. There is a reason that I vomit my stuff over you most weeks. Because I want to create a culture where you recognize that it's okay not to be okay in here. And it's okay not to have everything together. But we know a God who holds all things in his hands, who's working out all things for the good of those who love him, who've been called according to his purpose, who we can pray to, who we can sit with, and who we can delight ourselves in and be strengthened in and be encouraged by. We believe in the power of prayer here at Oma Community Church. And I believe this with every ounce of my being. When ordinary people pray, extraordinary things happen. I'm going to say it again. That's how convinced I am of it. When ordinary people pray, extraordinary things happen. Church, look at me, listen to me, hear me, and catch my heart on this. This Lone Ranger stuff, we got to kill it. We got to kill it, okay? You need a tonto. If you're a Lone Ranger, you need a tonto, and the church is your tonto. You need support. You need people with you who've got your back, who get you, who are for you, who will journey with you, and who will work with you and for you. That's who we are. That's Oma Community Church. It's who we are. A community of people who honor each other, who encourage each other, who are generous towards each other, who are compassionate towards one another, who love people. We love people here. We really do. We love people here. We really do. There's nothing that you're going through that when you come and tell me will ever shock me, okay? My dad sat down at my kitchen table and told me that he felt like a woman, okay? I'm going to tell you now, there's nothing that you'll come and tell me that will trump that, okay? And I still love me dad. And I'll still love you no matter what it is. And I need you to hear this today, and I need you to know this today. Because actually, if you're going to move forward into the things that Jesus died for you to have, if you're going to live in the preferred future that Jesus died for you to have, we need to kill off pride and we need to walk humbly. We really do. I had 2 other points that I'm going to share with you next week. I think I've made my point. Would we agree? You are so loved here at Oma Community Church. Pride, kick it down the hill. If I can get the worship team to come back up, please. I have seen more followers of Jesus Christ allow pride to kill them. I have seen ministries destroyed because of pride. I have seen families destroyed because of pride. I have seen communities wrecked because of pride. I have seen legacies lost because of pride. Sometimes the hardest thing in the world is to say, hey, I need help. Sometimes the hardest thing in the world is to acknowledge that things aren't just as great as we're pretending they are. And I want Oma Community Church to be a place where you can leave your mask at the door. Where you can be fully authentic in the things that are tormenting you, in the things that you are walking through, in the things that are scaring you, in the things that are exciting you, because it's not all bad. Yes, walking with Jesus Christ is the greatest adventure that you will ever go on. And so my encouragement to us today is let's trust in the Lord with all of our hearts and lean not on our own understanding, and in all of our ways acknowledge Him, and He will light our path, because He's good. Even when we can't see it, He is working. Even when we can't feel it, He is working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. Our God, that is our God. Look at me. I don't want an empty box anymore. I don't want an empty box anymore. It's on you. We're here, we love you, we're for you, but it's on you. Can I invite you to stand?
Thanks for listening to today's sermon with Oma Community Church. If you have a pastoral or physical need today, we would love to hear from you. Or if you would like to give towards the work of Oma Community Church, you can head to our website right now and get connected. That's www.omacommunitychurch.com. We have loads of events coming up during the week, so go over to our social medias to find out more. That's Instagram or Facebook today at Oma Community Church. And if you'd like to meet in person, we would love to see you. 11:30 a.m. every Sunday at Old Market Place.